Hello class, for today's lesson is about direct variation involving its equations, tables, and graphs. And here are our learning targets. First, I can find the y, x, and k are the constant values of variation in a direct variation. Two, I can represent a direct variation using tables, equations, and graphs. Now, we need to remember that this is the form of a direct variation, and this is properly read as y varies directly as x. Now, for our first example, let us try to find the value of k given the values of y and x. Now, assume that you have y here and the value of y is 24 and the value of x is 8. So all you need to do is to follow the format or the form of the equation, again, which is y varies directly as x. All you need to do is to substitute the values. So we have here for y is 24 and x is 8. So with this, we could just write 24 equals k times 8. Or you could just write this in a way of 24 equals 8k because k times 8 is equal to 8k. So either of the two, you could just divide both sides by 8 because that is the coefficient of k. So after that, you may now cancel 8 here and here. So we are left with k. Now the value of k depends on the quotient of 24 divided by 8. Now 24 divided by 8 is 3. So the value of k is 3. So based on this, we can conclude that the given based on y equals 24 and x equals 8, we can make an equation out of this. So we could write y equals the value of the constant or the k is 3. So we could write it y equals 3x. And this is the equation. For next example is solving for x given y. Now here, we have a problem given if y is equal to 20 when x is 5, find x when y is 32. So we have two steps to take account of this one. So first, before we proceed on finding x on the second part, let us try to find the k or the constant first. So we have here y is 20. So anyway, let's write the form. So y equals y varies directly as x. So the value of y is 20 equals k and 5. So like what we did earlier, all we need to do is to divide both sides by 5 because that is the coefficient of k. So 5 and 5. Now cancel here 5 and 5. So we are left with k. Now 20 divided by 5 is 4. So the value of k is 4. Now since we know that the value of k is 4, we can now write the equation of this one. So we have y, sorry. So we have here y equals 4x. Now given by this, as you can see, we have here a second statement, probably, let's say a second statement of the problem in which the new value of y is 32. So instead of using the original 20 here, we should have or we should cater the value of 32 for y. So let's write 32 equals, let's use 4 because again, this is the equation and 4 is the constant. So 4x. Now based on this, we could directly divide both sides by 4 4 and 4. And we cancel 4 here and 4. So we are left with the new value of x, which is being asked. And 32 divided by 4 is 8. And this is the answer that we are looking for. Since we're done with solving for the constant and x, now let's try to find or solve for y given this problem. So we have here, if y equals 12 when x is 3, find y when x is 9. So let's write the form again. We have y varies directly as x. Now we need to substitute the values of the first part. For y we have 12 and for x we have 3. So let's just write here 12 equals k times 3. And then we need to divide both sides by 3 because 3 is the coefficient of k. So we have it here. Now cancel 3 and 3, so we are left with k. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. And that is the value, and 4 is the value of our k, or our constant. Now given by the value of our constant, we could write our equation of the given problem as y equals 4x. Okay? And based on this, we could use the y equals 4x as our guide and finding y based on the second part. So here, we don't have a y, so we could just write y here because that is being asked. And then 4 as our constant times the new value of x, which is 9. So here, all we need to do is to write 9 or substitute. So for the value of y, we have 4 times 9 is 36. And this is our answer. Now, what if we're given a certain value or a certain equation of a direct ration? Let's just say we have y equals, our constant would be 5. Let's just choose 5. And then x. So again, we have here y equals 5x. So all we need to have at least 3 or 5 values of x in order for us to find y. So of course, we're going to start with 1. So for today, let's just have 5 values of x to be used. So we have it here. So again, we have y equals 5x. Through this, all we need to do again is to substitute the values of 1 to 5 to the value of x here. So for our first one, so we can have here, let's just change it this way. So 5x equals y. Anyway, there's just the same with y equals 5x. So 5 times 1, and then 5 times 2, 5 times 3, 5 times 4, and 5 times 5. Easy as it is, so we have 5 times 5 times 1 equals 5. So if the value of our x is 1, our value of y is 5. And the pattern continues, so 5 times 2 is 10, times 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 4 is 20, and 5 times 5 is 25. So easy as that, so let's just write the values here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Remember that in a general concept of direct variation, when y goes up, x also goes up. So that means when y goes down, x also goes down. So as you can see here, we have here the values of x are going up, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And also the values of 5 are going up. So based on this, without solving anything yet, assuming that the numbers are truly connected according to the principles and properties of math, without solving, just based on the table that is given, we could directly say that the given table or a certain equation perhaps is obviously a direct variation. Now, what if we're given a certain table of values of x and y, and our task is to find the equation? So all we need to do is to rely on the given formula or form of the direct variation, which is y varies directly as x. So if you want to use 1 here as our x, then we need to use 8. So we need corresponding values to what is or what are the given. So if you want to use x here as 1, then we need to use y. We need to use 8 for y. So with this, all we need to do is substitute. So we have here 8 equals k times 1. Again, 8 is for y, and 1 here is our x. So simply as it is, we just need to copy 8, and k times 1 is k. So the value of our constant is 8. Now, since we know that the value of the constant or the k is 8, so we could just write here y equals 8x. Because obviously, when we substitute 8 times 1, the answer is 8, and 8 times 2 is equal to 16, and the pattern continues. So in finding the equation, based on the given table of values, this is our answer. Y equals 8x. Now for the last part is graphing. Now we have here values of y and x. For y is 8 and x is 4. So your task is to graph this. So first we need to find the value of k. So using the formula, y varies directly as x. So y is 8 equals k times 4. So divide both sides by 4. So we get the value of the constant. So cancel 4. So the value of k is 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now, based on the equation, we get y equals 2x. And from here, we could create a table of values for this one. So let's have here. Let's create the table of values first before proceeding to create a graph out of the given values of y and x and based also on the equation. Now, so let's write first here for 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, x and y. Now, again, we could just turn this around. So instead of focusing y equals 2x, we could also write this as 2x equals y. Here's the same. So we let x be from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 times 1 equals 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times 5 is 10. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Now, we could create the quadrant 1 of the Cartesian plane because as you can see, the values of x here are positive. Same goes with y. So the values are positive. So we're going to focus on quadrant 1. Okay. So let's have here. Okay. So our goal is to have a graph based on y and x. Okay. So, right. Now we have here a quadrant 1 of the Cartesian plane. Okay, so the values from left to right is our x-axis, and the values based on our up and down here, our or is our y-axis. Let me just erase these. Now, let us have the values of x based on the table values. So we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And for y, instead of using 1 to 10 or more than that, let's just have intervals of 2 to make it easy. So we have here 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. Now let us plot the coordinates given by x and y. First, we have here the 1 and 2. So, not a good color. But anyway, we have here again the 1 and 2. So let's plot accordingly. So this is our 1, 2. And for 2, 4. 3, 6. 4, 8. And last one would be 5, 10. So based on this, we could just connect them accordingly. And this is our graph based on just the given here of y is equal to 8 and x is equal to 4 based on direct variation. And this is our graph. And that's it for today. I hope you learned something.